And I'm going to pin my video. There we go. Yeah. So let us begin. So as I remind you all the time, turning off your devices so that you can have this time to yourself. And so yesterday we celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King. And of course, it was the inauguration of a new president. And Dr. King was such a pillar of hope. He advised that we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. And these words can be so beneficial, a balm for what ails us. And when we take a look at hope, it's very subtle, and it's sometimes an unconscious attitude of the heart and the mind. But it's been said that it's a really essential resource in this human life. It's not a destination, but rather it's an awakening to what is actually possible inside our own self. And this means trusting and having faith in our own inner resources so that no matter what is happening in the world around us, we can remain steadfast and strong. And Dr. Frankl points out that it is possible to find hope and meaning even in our darkest hours. And so I put in the chat a book that I've taken this meditation from. It's called Active Hope. It was published in 2012. How to face the mess we're in without going crazy, because there's a lot of things going on in our world today. And it can be overwhelming. And the authors are Joanna Macy and Chris Johnston. And they acknowledge that our times confront us with realities that are painful to face, difficult to take in, and very confusing to live in. But they contend that the acceptance of this reality really begins the amazing journey that strengthens us and deepens our aliveness. And Dr. King lived that active hope. He lived that aliveness. And so active hope is a practice. It is something that we do rather than we have. And the guiding impetus for active hope is intention. Hang on one second. I just want to make sure everybody's muted. I just want to make sure everybody's muted. Oops. I think I'm echoing. Okay, perhaps this will. Okay, we'll start again here. So the guiding impetus for active hope is intention. And you've heard me, all of you have heard me speak of intention in prior sessions. And so rather than weighing our chances and proceeding only when we feel hopeful, we focus on our intention and we let it be our guide. And being intentional just means making choices that reflect what we value and what are important to us. And it can help us to achieve goals. It can help us to be more present and to have a more positive mindset. It's kind of like not letting the day whip you around, but rather being in your day in a very intentional way. And so in thinking about our world of today, we will often hear comments about like, oh, please don't go there, or it's just too depressing. And of course, the problem with this approach is that it closes down our conversations and it closes down our thinking. And so how can we begin to tackle the mess that we're in if we consider it too depressing to think about? And yet when we do face the mess, when we do let in the news of our world, it can often feel overwhelming. And we may wonder whether we can do anything about it, and we may feel very, very ineffectual. So, this is where we begin by acknowledging that our times confront us with realities that are very painful to face, that they're difficult to take in, and they're confusing to live with. And the approach of active hope is to see that this is the starting point of an amazing journey that strengthens us and deepens our aliveness. And mindfulness teaches us that whatever situation we face, we can choose our response. When facing overwhelming challenges, we often feel like, oh, what's the use? My own small action won't count for much. And yet, the kind of responses that we make and the degree to which we believe that they count are shaped by the way that we think about hope. And if you think about the climate crisis, we can look at that as, what's the point of doing anything? It won't change what we're eventually heading for. We feel like it's no point in even trying. Things are just too far along to change. But the second meaning about hope is about desire. Ask yourself what you would like to see regarding climate change. What would you long for? And knowing what we hope for and what we'd love to take place and what we do with this hope really makes the difference. And so there's two different types of hope. There's passive hope, which means we wait for external agencies to bring about what we desire. And then there's active hope, which is about becoming active participants and bringing about what we hope for. And of course, Martin Luther King very much practiced active hope. And therein lies our inspiration that this man is so known for. So active hope is a practice and is kind of like meditation. It's like Tai Chi, it's like gardening or playing a musical instrument. It is something that we do rather than have. So it's a process and it involves 3 clear steps. It involves taking a really clear view of reality, and this is acceptance. We often talk about accepting the present moment. And then we identify the second step. We identify what we hope for in terms of the direction we'd like things to move or the values that we'd like to see expressed. And then we take steps to move ourselves or our situation in that direction. And active hope doesn't require our optimism. And so we can apply it even in areas where we feel hopeless. The guiding impetus, like I said earlier, is intention. We choose what we aim to bring about, what we act for, or what we express. So rather than weighing our chances and proceeding only when we feel hopeful, we focus on our intention, and let it be our guide. So we're going to do a meditation on hope. I'm going to guide you through it. This is a meditation by Joanna Macy and Chris Johnston, the book that I have in the chat for those of you who arrived late. And I'm going to ask you to think about certain questions. And many of the questions, you may need to let them marinate. And Thich Nhat Hanh suggests that when we ask the big and difficult questions, he compares it to planting a seed. We're planting a question in our subconscious mind, just like we plant a seed in the ground. And we water the seed, and the sunlight nourishes the seed. And we don't continue to pull up the seed to see if the plant is growing roots. Rather, we let it be. And eventually the plant grows. And this is the same with asking a deep and profound question. We nurture our question with silence, with our meditation, with our breath, with calm, with presence. And eventually the answer arises. And so this is not the one-stop shopping question. This is really a deep question. So, excuse me, coming into a meditative posture, having your feet on the ground, and feeling that connection to Mother Earth that is always there for us. And also feeling the connection to the chair. The chair that's supporting us. So these are the touch points of our body that are touching another surface, noticing where our hands are resting. Noticing where our arms are resting. And this can be an anchor if we get overwhelmed during the meditation, as coming to one of the touch points. And then I'll ring the bell and invite you to bring your awareness to hearing, to the sounds in your environment, another anchor. And so as the sound of the bell diminishes and disappears, just being aware of the sound in your own environment. Just hearing the rhythm, the pitch. And how the sounds intermingle. Hearing is always in the present moment. And so knowing that we can always turn to what we're hearing as an anchor, again, if our mind becomes overwhelmed during the meditation. And now turning to our sense of touch and noticing how the air in the space that you're in is touching your skin. And today being a cooler day, the air might feel a little cooler on your skin. And then noticing how the air is drawn into the body through the nostrils as our body breathes us. And so just spending a moment feeling the breath as it enters the body, and then as the body lets go and the breath exhales. And so just resting in the presence of breathing. Another very powerful anchor for our meditation. The breath is always present moment awareness. And so as we enter into this meditation and we ask the question, knowing that if our mind gets very, very busy, we can rely on one of these anchors for stability. And then come back to the meditation when we're ready. So the first stage of establishing hope is gratitude. And we begin with gratitude because this resources us. It puts us in a stronger starting point when we have to face disturbing information. And gratitude has been said to be felt like a sense of wonder, of thankfulness, of appreciation. And gratitude also reminds us of our interdependence of ways that we receive from others. And there are two sides to gratitude: appreciation and thankfulness. And so I'm going to invite you to think about, when I say the following words, I love, I'm going to invite you to name what you love, what you appreciate, what you relish, what you delight in. I love. This might include people, places, experiences. It could be anything that follows the word when I say, I love. If nothing's arising, you can scan your recent memories. Just in the past 24 hours, perhaps, what is something that happened that you really loved? It doesn't have to be anything big. It could be just something that says, I'm glad that happened. And savor whatever arises for you. And we savor by noticing colors, sounds, smells, tastes, and the sensations in our body when we really enjoy something. So that's the first part of gratitude, I love. And the second part of gratitude is thankfulness. And so see what follows when I say the words to you, I'd like to thank. Thinking about who or what have you received from in ways that support you. I'd like to thank. And so again, we're resourcing ourselves. See how it feels to name and to thank that person. Gratitude builds trust and generosity. So I love and I thank. And then moving on to stage 2, which is honoring our pain for the world. When we give attention to what we appreciate and feel supported by, we may also recognize ways that these are threatened by our conditions in our world. And so the next part of our meditation invites us to witness our own concerns and the feelings that they may arouse. So, looking at the future we're heading into, my concerns include, what might that be? And this is open alertness, which really allows our heart to be stirred by the suffering of others, which is empathy, which is really appreciated as a strength. And so looking at the future, I'm concerned about. And this ability to be concerned about the suffering of others in particular is evidence of our interconnectedness with all of life. And so again, looking at the future we're heading into, my concerns include. And when we face the truth of what's happening in our world, it can feel painful. There's no question. And as we do in our mindfulness practice, we turn toward that pain with kindness and compassion for our own self. And then stage 3 of this meditation is seeing with new eyes. Facing disturbing realities can leave us feeling overwhelmed. And if we're going to give our best response, it helps to open to perspectives, different perspectives, that inspire, that empower, that resource us to open to a sense of possibility rather than shutting down. And one way of doing this is to see what words follow a sentence that starts with, "What inspires me is," and another question could be, "How can I help?" And this is compassion. And when we're struggling to believe what we're hoping for is possible, it's really important to protect ourselves from disillusionment. So in thinking about what you would like to achieve through active hope, it's often necessary to use examples in history, to turn to your own experiences of perseverance. And of course, Dr. Martin Luther King was such an example, and there's so many others in our world. And then the last stage is about looking at what we can do, the part we can play in the larger story of acting on what we love, addressing our concerns and following what inspires us. Our hope is our guide. And so building on these sentences, what I deeply hope for is, and something I can do to help this happen is, and there might not be a ready answer here. This seed that we're planting may need to marinate. It may need to be nourished by our own mindfulness practice, by the calm within, just like a seed planted in the ground is nourished by the rain and the sunshine. Our practice, both formal and informal, is the sunshine and the light that the question needs in order to really arrive at an answer that is unique to our own being, that's unique and actionable. And you might even add a first or a next step that I can take towards this in the next week is, and so using these questions to really motivate us to be in the world, this troubled world, with hope. And I'm just going to read a meditation on hope and love in a time of struggle. In a world so filled with brokenness and sorrow, it would be easy to lose ourselves in never-ending grief, to be choked by outrage, to be paralyzed by the enormity of suffering, to feel our hearts squeezed tight with hopelessness. Today, instead, let us simply breathe together as we hold our hearts open. Breathing in as our hearts fill with compassion. Breathing out as we hope for healing in our world and in our lives. Breathing in, opening ourselves to the transformative power of love. Breathing out, hoping for peace in our world and in our lives. Breathing in, holding hope in our hearts. Breathing out as we hope for justice in our world and in our life. May we know strength. May we be filled with courage. May our love flow from us into this world. Breathing in, we set our intention. Breathing out, we heal. Breathing in, we are the love. Breathing out, we are the peace. Breathing in, we are the hope. Breathing out, we are the justice. And may we know our own strength. Thinking of all of the people in our country and wishing for them. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you find peace. And may justice serve you. And coming back to your breath now, feeling the breath as it flows in and out of the body. Knowing that this breath is here for us. The calming nature of the breath is always here for us to access. Breathing in, breathing out, fueling our hope, fueling our love. And so as you take the last breaths of this meditation, I'll ring the bell and just allow the sound to come to your ears, following it until it dissolves. May your hearts be filled with hope and with love. And so as you open your eyes, smiling if it feels right to you,